Hello, everybody, and welcome to A Better You Through Prayer and Fasting podcast. And I'm just going to say right now that we are going to have an incredible podcast. We hope you join us. If you can, hop onto the chat right now, and I'm going to introduce my amazing co host and co producer, Desiree Valdez. And we've got our other co host, Adrian Finkelstein, the magnificent Mr. Positivity, Dr. Adrian Finkelstein, our very own spiritual psychiatrist, with us right now. Hello, you two.
Hey, Mercedes. Hello, everyone. Peace and blessings.
So, how are you? Well, peace and blessings to you, my dear sister Desiree. And I do feel like you are my sister. I really do, because I don't have a sister. And you have really become my sister. So I appreciate you. And brother, I believe like all of us on the Unseen Realm podcast are brothers and sisters. And Dr. Adrian's my brother too. Hi, Dr. Adrian. Can you hear me?
Well, yeah, you are my sister, certainly. I was talking before about my kid sister. I have a lot of sisters. I wouldn't call them kid, but I'm very fortunate to have you as sisters and to have the opportunity to express some of the thoughts of the day through your podcast.
And that's a good lead in, Adrian. The thoughts of the day. We, um, it's kind of like our job here is to talk about the thoughts of the day, but we want to talk about the positive because we all know on this podcast how much positivity and the way we talk and the things that we watch, the things that we put into our body, all of these matter. And so, why don't we go ahead and kind of share our thoughts on that? And Dr. Adrian and Desiree and I were talking when we first started about, things that we can do to be healthier and better. So, Dr. Adrian, why don't you go ahead and share some of the things that you've been researching and thinking of lately on that positive end?
Research, um, well, basically, my profile in this world is like of a psychiatrist, an MD, spiritual psychiatrist. However, these days I'm seeing in the world a lot of things that I haven't seen ever, and it's something like a transformation of a kind that nobody knows how much positive it is and how much negative. So I wouldn't take any shot at saying what it is, but I would let mighty God decide that. But I'm praying to God that everything will be okay, not only in the world, but for each individual, in the viewers, and obviously our panel. I think that there are so many, um, I say, uh, beliefs in the world that don't necessarily uh, fit the reality of each one's needs or understanding or um, goals. So we have to listen, we have to learn, we have to be open, but we have to also, in the end, turn to mighty God that's within ourselves and everywhere, and listen for the final conclusion, which is not final, but it's final in the sense of whatever issue we're dealing with. That is temporary. Okay. So there are things that are temporary, things that are permanent. And, negativity is made many times from being being just temporary, permanent. So, and that's one of the problems in the world. There are certain periods that are uh, predominated by a lot of negativity in the world. And as you know, I think that we're coming here over and over, reincarnating in order to learn to be more positive and to be upbeat and know that with God everything is possible. And when I say that, I believe it with all my heart. So if we're here and we're talking about any subject that you want to bring up, or but especially about life itself, love itself, joy itself, anything that is positive, like peace. This is what I've been trying to do at times, and I failed because I tried. Trying implies the possibility of failure. Either you do something or you don't. Either you drop an object or you don't drop it. So we have to be determined and with God, you know, at, at front, we always are on the right place. So I don't try, I do. For instance, I take Edwin. All right. So, what are you interested to know in particular this today? Because there is not an ocean, but there is an infinite, uh, continuum of God. So let's see where we want to pinpoint.
One thing I would like to talk about, and I believe we've mentioned this before, is how we can change our physical beings through prayer, through fasting, through positive thinking. Um, and I would like to, I think that's really important right now. We can literally change our whole environment by changing our attitudes, by changing our the way we think. Desiree and I were just talking about the way people feel about some religions, and um, and how Desiree and I have evolved so much through many types of spiritual realms of religions and different things, and how we have come to this place in our life. And I just feel like at this place in my life, I can look back now and say, well, you know what? I started saying this, I started doing this, I started making God first. I mean, if you look at what I've done in my life and where I've fallen, where I've come back, where I've become sick, but where I'm healed, it all leads to like several basic things that I've done the last, let's say, 5 years for sure. So I I think I walk my walk because I've talked my talk and I do what I say I'm supposed to do. Just like you just said. I do that. I feel like I walk the walk that I'm talking. So with that said, I've kind of rambled a little bit. So why don't you guys go ahead and let's let Desiree talk about that too, because Desiree has gone through a lot of different things too. So Desiree, what do you feel about that? And it could just be about the positive, how we can change our life, whatever it is you would like to discuss.
Oh yeah, I am all about. In fact, I think without that, the first thing that came to my mind when we talk about this is I love learning when I read about in the book of Proverbs, 18:21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. And I've meditated on that a lot when I've thought about it, and it really has me always. liking to think before I speak, reflecting. And because with that, there's a lot of other proverbs and other parables and things that were told, just speaking, think before we speak is one, but also too, like how positive thoughts, positive actions, positive, was it one thing is that positive thoughts, positive actions, positive reflections, positive characters, perseverance, and everything, but the power of the tongue. And the power of your choice of words and the power of the mind. And before I was a believer, I did always used to, I think I had heard, is like once you master yourself, then you can master the world. And mastering myself to me was, understanding patience, understanding my temperament, understanding and being able to make better choices from my mistakes that I've learned, instead of going repetitive circles. And so that was applicable in growth, and evolving, and me being a better version of myself. And as well as when it came times for being sick and having to, I had to taught myself how to walk again from being hit by drunk drivers. I've been in comatoses, in the hospitals from, seizure episodes, and I had to like regain my bodily functions again. I've had like Parkinson's syndrome to where I had to be on a walker and I couldn't even have nervous control of my body movements, and I was like convalescent. So there was like a lot of things that I've had to overcome, and these are just like some small feats. And it's not even me. It was really just showing me how God's power can work through somebody that abides or aligns and believes in a higher power than myself, because these were beyond me. This was beyond what I was getting from doctor reports and medical reports and everything. It was beyond the my options. Every time I came to a dead end. Every time when the doctors would tell me that, go ahead and find hospice so I could be taken care of, or every time the neurologists were like saying that, go ahead and she's gonna drink out of a straw, she's never gonna eat again. I refused to believe that, because the power of the words and choices and what I chose to believe, I rejected that. I did not allow that to take seed or plant inside of me. I said, nah, I'm gonna overcome this. I don't know how, but I'm gonna do it. I don't care if it's one step more. I don't care if I can just scoot my chair up. I don't care if I can lift my head up. I'm just going to keep on one step at a time, more and more, until I'm not going to let them win. I'm not going to take what I was given as the final answer. And this whole time I had God working with me, or God was with me, holding my hand, letting me feel like I was such a big girl making big choices. But really, it's like the love and mercy of how much God loves us, and love and mercy of how much God can do for us when we trust Him. And it didn't matter in truth whether I could go from, if I was to get up from my bed, because it was from being in complete darkness to just being in my body with inability to move, but I could hear people talking and all that, to one day being able to move my fingers, to one day being able to like get up. I just knew that I was always going to continue. And here I am now. I was blind, medically declared blind, and now I can see all from prayer. I'm walking, thank you, all by the grace and of God. And so I'm very, very thankful for where I am. And because I say it's the choices of the power of the tongue and the choices of words, I believe.
Right.
It's the belief, right? This is just to show I believed in God, the same God that I've always known to have existed, and his name is Yahweh.
I got chills. I literally got chills, and yeah, and
It's beautiful.
that's exactly what that we're talking about. This is exactly it. And I know, Dr. Adrian, I know you are wanting to say something, so please go ahead, sir.
Well, I had many brushes with death, and my life. And I see ourselves as warriors, as I pointed out once, warriors coming into the world, created in God's image and likeness, to show that the power of God, because we are made in its image and likeness, uh, prevails in all situations. So, I, I've considered myself a warrior. I never said I give up. I never said I give up because I don't. So, guess what? Some people say, well, you just say it, but you know, it worked out for me. I didn't give up. I don't give up. There are situations like in real war when it's a defensive war, a warrior for life versus a warrior for deaths that are the hating people that you defend yourself against. And these are times in the war that I remember that really reminisce me of having a brush not only once with death, but there are other, the uh, uh, the death warrior enemies are not necessarily soldiers. They are our situations and diseases and conditions and all sort of uh, bad, how you say, uh, prognostication of by some people that you're going to die, and usually doctors. And it happened to me, as I told you 24 years ago, that they told me that you're going to die. And I didn't die because I didn't take them as for sure. And they told me at a very big hospital with a very high reputation at from UCLA, and I respect them. I respect their science, but besides that is the understanding and wisdom that there is a God, and God is. In Hebrew, we say, "Ani Adonai Rofecha," I'm God, your doctor. So I think it has a lot of meaning, and I believe in it with all my heart. And I transmit that to others because you never give up in the situations. And what happened then? I was completely given to that, and all of a sudden, all the problems in my body disappeared because I uh, I believed in God. I prayed to God. I visualized the healthy state. I was very positive in anything. When somebody would come to me and say negative things, including doctors, I would just, give them a passport. So I think that's what I've done. So the result was that I'm still here after 24 years, and I'm talking to you. And there was a terminal disease that they diagnosed. So uh, you know, um, so I think. I take with a grain of salt everything else that is 1% chance, you have this chance, we can give you another few months to live, you can give you another, with, I think that sometime we have to understand that when in the process of healing, for instance, because I'm a doctor, so I was a patient too, and I am a patient too. So I think in this process you have to understand that the power of miracles of God are so important. Even Dr. Siegel from Fox News wrote a book about the miracles in medicine. He's so scientific. But no, what I'm saying, science is fine, and I'm reminding people about the helicopter that is famous, that when people were drowning, when it was a flood, helicopters came to save them. They saved them, except one that said, "No, I believe in God. He will save me." And he perished because of that. He drowned. So you have to be attentive to see what comes from God and what doesn't. So then you take the helicopter and you're saved. And the helicopter may be a treatment, maybe something that you didn't believe in. But so you start believing and saying this. I always say this: everything is from God, through God, and for God.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it cannot harm anyone and is really safe. So, what you think you create, what you feel you attract, what you imagine you become, sooner or later, through repetition, programming, and motivation. So, if you think positive in any aspect of your life, you may prolong your life. I'm an elderly, but if to help yourself and others, and that's okay. And and then there is reincarnation that three-quarters of the world believe in. Well, anyway, whether the ones that don't believe or believe in the future is not important, but what is important that it is. So we come back because we're made in God's image and likeness, and God always comes back. And there are cycles in life, as you know. Everything repeats itself, like the spring and in the summer and in the fall and the winter and again the spring and so forth. So I like to look at a funny bone in life and to laugh at things that are, obviously funny. So I look for them and I find them. When you look for them, you find them. So and that keeps my spirit up and my immune system up. so, so that's what I recommend to people to do because we cannot live in one incarnation forever. Apparently, that's the case. I cannot say we cannot. We cannot. There are probably people that can, but I don't know. So, but you can live a very long life. That's why in the Hebrew tradition says when somebody has a birthday party, Ad Me'ave Esrim, which means translated from Hebrew, until 120 more and more, like Moses. So that's it. So I guess our sister Desiree is there also, and
Yes. Yes. Told me ahead of time that she's actually probably going to be a little bit on the road while she's doing this. Some kind of family issues are happening. Her picture will be there.
that's fine.
And that's totally fine. Um, so one thing I wanted to remind people of is you have Dr. Adrian Finkelstein. Remember we had this conversation, about Finkelstein from Young Frankenstein. That you
Steam.
said that at the when we met in California. We were talking about that. That
We
was
did. did. It was a joy. I mean, yeah, we have a video. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure. I
yeah,
have.
that was fun to actually meet you and give you a hug. And it was so we're with the Unseen Realm podcast with Archbishop Ronald Right, and that's every Saturday on YouTube and all streaming platforms, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So everybody, just check that show out too as well. And it's it's really not a scary show when we have the Order of Exorcists or things like that. That's part of it, or the fact that it's said that it's called the Unseen Realm. I do not think that podcast is scary. I think what you are bringing to the table on that show is it's so spiritually important. Everybody has a completely different way of talking, and I think it's just such an informative and important show, the Unseen Realm. And I think that this one too. I'm so thankful that you're here with us, Adrian. Thank you so much for being here with us every month. Um, I really want to express that to you that how grateful Desiree and I both are that you're here and that we have our little team. And as people can see over here, that's what started this podcast was a better you through prayer and fasting, the book I wrote last year, which Dr. Adrian is a part of that book. So please, if you read that, you'll see some information. He wrote the foreword, and that's such an honor. I think you've written the foreword on like all of my books so far. So that how cool is that? I mean, how awesome is that? I feel so fortunate. So
So,
Adrian,
Adrian,
oh, I'm repeating myself. So
But you
God,
asked about that, I mean, the specifics and
yeah,
fasting and praying, and I think I have a lot to say about that because fasting is a way of not giving up.
yeah,
Fasting is not because we're eating ourselves up eventually in one lifetime, in a way, if, in a certain language. But we're um, we're not eating us up. We enjoy it. We have to enjoy food. We have to enjoy anything that arises from food. Anything in life has to be enjoyed. We came here for joy, not for suffering. And I think if we forget that, we forget God. Um, if I would forget my right hand, I would forget you, Jerusalem. But anyway, Jerusalem is the place of God, and I think what I want to say, fasting is restriction, is how much you can, um, you know, be strong and reject negativity through positivity. Because hunger is pressing you to eat a lot and to get fat, and it rhymes. See? So I guess I guess we should you should also physiologically, it's very healthy to know what we're eating because not only quantitatively but qualitatively is important to pay attention to what we eat. And I think in my understanding, in the biblical times, they ate a lot of vegetable food, like beans and lentils and I don't know, but they had bread that was a special bread that had everything in it, like ragu, that Italian thing. It's everything in it. But anyway, it's fermented. It's very good. I was impressed by some of the presentations. About the biblical, rites of eating, and I'm eating myself fermented bread when I get a chance. because it's very healthy. It has probiotics and so forth, but it has a lot of other minerals and components, protein, and things that the body needs. So we have to be very focused on the quality of what we eat. Sometimes, we can eat other. I mean, I eat myself fish sometimes. I eat, chicken. But generally, I stick with something that's more, how to say, the biblical style, if you want to look into that. But anyway, people who lived a bit longer, not just a bit, but much longer in those times. Also, they didn't have stress. You have to prevent stress. What is stress? Stress is the inability of the subconscious mind to keep up with the increased demands of the conscious mind that is very smart and thinks can do anything, and the poor subconscious, the poor child, animal, has to carry out that. And it says at one point, "Oh, I've had it. I want to check out. Stop the world." So, because the subconscious has created this animal spirit we have to animate our life, our body, and control the physical body. So illness and health may depend very much on the subconscious if we don't guide it right. So we need to have talks with our inner little child, the subconscious, from time to time and teach it like we teach our children. And, good ways, lofty ways of God and of science that is proved, has proved lately what I'm saying about biblical times when they didn't have that kind of science. So, so that's about eating. About stress is very important, as I started saying. We have to diminish stress in life by pacing our subconscious, our inner little child, according to its abilities, liabilities, and gifts. So don't overstep that if you can, and if you do, change it. I think that nowadays we live in a fast lane, and that really takes a lot from the subconscious. So I'm praying to God, and that's another aspect of your books. Praying is the main link to communication, like Desiree said, communication, about communication. Communication is through prayer, through God, to understand and to live in peace and harmony with people, obviously with God above all, but to get the right lofty voice of God, that I was made in God's image and likeness. And when I pray from the heart, and I give it all to God, and then I don't pray all the time about the same thing. I pray usually here and there, but the main thing is to know that God knows your prayers before you pray. So you just thank God that's been done, like to keep you alive when you're very sick, or to take you from a battle in the war when you're almost dead there, or things of that nature, the brushes with death, as I mentioned before. But always keep yourself on the positive path. And we reincarnate basically to catch up and to be more and more positive every time. And why should we do that? What is the reason? Well, the reason is because it's an intrinsic reason. We feel uh, from God that we have to express its lofty ways, but a lot of people fell off that, and there is a problem in the world. So we have to always do our best, and God will do the rest. And praying for God's peace, for instance, is in our peace, the peace of Jerusalem, and so forth. But yeah, praying is very important, and I would go over a lot of other things right now, but I just threw away a piece of my mind.
Thank you for sharing that, and I really I think it's very interesting about what you were saying about the food too. Of course, in prayer and fasting, because that's what I love to study. And one thing I mentioned in the book was how every culture, I mean, literally every culture since the beginning of time has been doing prayer, and they have been doing fasting, or at least most of the cultures, from what I can find. And and it's, to me, it's like it's God's way of saying, this is how you can really clear yourself to communicate with me. And so people, people are, oh, I can't fast. I'm like, well, there's so many ways to fast. It's, giving up Coca-Cola, giving up cigarettes. That's also a fast. A lot of people feel like they're going to fast and their blood sugar's going to get messed up. Well, I'm the kind of person who, when I fast, my blood sugars get better. I It helps my blood sugar. And so that, and what's kind of interesting what you said with the eating of oneself. That's the autophagy, in a way, if we do a more physical way of looking at it, is the autophagy effects of fasting for my physical being have been the source of why, when my levels skyrocketed during the pandemic, and then when I did figure it out what was happening, instead of taking medication, which is what the doctor wanted me to do, I found that God helped provide me with prayer and fasting ideas. And so it was through that I took, my blood sugars are perfect now, because with no medicine, because of fasting. And so I cannot say enough about it. And I think the communication, when I do pray and fast, my communication with spirit, it becomes crystal clear. Like, sometimes when I'll be working with a certain client, and you'll probably like this too, Adrian, it was almost like I was doing prayer and fasting, or doing fasting, and a person will come in as a client, and I needed that because I needed to have that special ability to be able to really be clear as to what was happening with them. Had I not been fasting ahead of time, maybe I wouldn't have been as clear, but it was almost like you said, God knows what's happening before we even know what's happening. So it's almost like it's like there's a way for us to know that we don't know everything, but God knows everything. God knows who's coming into our life. God knows what's about to happen. So I really think there's a value of prayer and fasting combined together. And that's why I wrote the book.
Yeah,
Ta-da!
it reminds me of the times when
And
I went to the psychic surgeons and they were praying to God, and they were praying for healing, they were praying for everything that they wanted. I mean, they had a list, and the healer held a list there and prayed on the list. But anyway,
Yeah,
the thing is, they prayed like Babanam Babanam Kevalam Param Pita Babaki, which in Sanskrit's meaning means um, God, give God all credit, and victory sure guarantee. So you have to pray. You know that God knows already, but you know you don't have to repeat to God the same thing because God knows already. But you have to thank God many times because of your gratitude, and also that reprograms your subconscious, your inner little child, the animal spirit inside you. That you know that's mostly what happens when you repeat, because that part learns through repetition, programming, and motivation, not God.
Yeah, that's an excellent way to say it too. I was thinking about something while you were mentioning that, and programming ourselves through prayer and just it's like Desiree. She prays every 3 hours. Like she's been doing that for quite a while. So I don't have a regimented prayer schedule like Desiree does, but I give her kudos for that. But I feel like I'm always praying, like constantly. Yeah, but Desiree was in the air. You were actually in service to our country, so I think that takes a regimented. You learn regimentation or whatever the word is, right?
Right, right.
So, Desiree, why don't you talk about that since I can hear your voice now? If you can, talk about your prayer schedule.
Oh, well, yes.
Are you having
Yeah,
to?
no, yeah, no. So how that began was it's just every certain like 3 hours, I was just taking notice. I journal a lot. And so whenever I would see something or feel something or hear something, I was documenting my time and my experience because I was applying the teachings of Jesus. You know, I was Buddhist. I was like an atheist. I was somebody, seeking truth and fasting and praying. And so this is during the time in reflecting, and I was looking back at my notes, I was noticing these events or these instances or these things that happened in my life. It would be like around 11:50, 11:59, noon, 12:03, 12:02, and then again at 3 in the morning, 3:02, 2:59, and then again at 6 in the morning. They're all like within like increments of a variable of like, let's say 10 minutes, between these hours or so. Before you know it, I was just like, well, let me just see something. And sure enough, it just started. I was noticing the pattern. And as I was noticing this pattern, it just felt natural too. It felt very like I don't know how you say called. I felt called. I felt drawn. I felt led. And so yeah, so that's how it began. And I've been following ever since, and it's been my appointed time.
I don't remember hearing that you had been documenting it prior to that. That I must have missed that somehow. That's amazing. Because doesn't isn't that interesting how we can see and Adrian's all about time and numbers, but I see that too. Like I will look back on a Facebook post and I'll look at a time that's happening right now and I'm like, wow, that was last year. This is the same thing. Something is happening on the same day as last year. Or it's like in these time sequences and it's how is that possible that that happens? But I think that's a way. I think we are really on some sort of schedule, some sort of numbers that are
Well, there is. Oh, I was gonna say, when I come to find out these numbers and correlation after doing some research, had some in alignment with the timeline of Jesus's walk of crucifixion. Also during prayer time, the Hebrew Judaism, like in the morning when we rise, first thing they do is to pray, and so that was also I found some information. Thank you. Information about that. So I found that that was very interesting also. I totally agree with you. It numbers, and then Dr. Adrian always gives us new information about the
the numbers, because numbers, it does, it has some significance, of importance. Everything is with purpose. God doesn't do nothing without a reason.
Well, and talking about numbers, in the Hebrew alphabet, there are 22 letters. But anyway, what I want to say is that in case of praying, we say this in Hebrew, blessed be you, God. In other words, we don't say, God, give me this or give me that. Blessed be you, God, that you gave me this or that.
Um,
Okay, so a blessing is barech, B-R-H, which is 222, the number. 222 is 6, 222, 6. So we have to do something, and not just, God knows our prayers, but God incites us to pray, to thank Him, because this way we are reprogramming our subconscious.
mm,
Okay, so he says, okay, the 6 days it's work, then you rest. Don't rest yet. So program your subconscious and show your gratitude at the same time to your God, because this is the first commandment: love your God with all your heart, with all your soul. So
yeah.
praying.
When I think a long time ago, I really didn't know any of that. I did not know it, and I was not about thanking God. And when I did start, when all those tragedies happened, and when I lost my life, when I almost lost my life, when I couldn't walk and had to learn how to walk again, um, all of those things, they tend to help us strengthen us into realizing that there's a greater purpose than us. There's something bigger than us. And sometimes the people like me that are stubborn, obviously, but we have to go through a lot of tragedy or traumas in our life to really figure it out. And I think that is almost a way of reprogramming too, because the more you see that, wow, when I do this, and if I give gratitude to God, which I do all the time, because without God, I wouldn't even be alive. Without God, my property would not be clear. Without God, I couldn't even breathe. So I just feel like I don't know if I would say I am not being programmed or brainwashed. I am doing this because I have learned that one way works and the other way doesn't work. I am happy because I follow God and God is with me all the time, and I give all the gratitude and all the thanks, because without God, I wouldn't do any of this. I wouldn't know you guys. Without God, I
Right.
wouldn't exist, really. I mean, I would be dead by now. So I am so thankful that we have this opportunity to share share our stories right here, whether anybody listens or not. Somebody might, that one person that is needing this information, they might hear us today. They might hear that Dr. Adrian was told that he was going to die 24, 25 years ago, but he didn't. We they might need to know that. They might be facing that right now. Desiree, she literally, I mean, think about the things she's gone through, but one of the things we always talk about is that she lost her eyesight. They said she was blind, but she brought God gave her her eyesight back. That is, those are miracles. My life was a miracle. A returning, I didn't die in those two car accidents. I should have died, but God catapulted me out of my body and then brought me back into my body and gave me gifts instead of dying. So when you walk through the fire, that is when you can look at people and when they're laughing at you saying, oh, yeah, right, whatever. I'm like, no, I know because I've experienced it. And I've lived my life enough to know what works for me and what is real and what is not real. And I'm just so thankful. And I've done it again. Blah, 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 blah. I talk too much.
No, that was good. That was good, Mercedes. So true.
Okay. But it is the truth. It's the truth. And God bless our Dr. Adrian Finkelstein. He's a medical psychiatrist. He works at the top place, still is working. And he's helped people all over the world, all over the world. And he's been in TV productions, written all these amazing books. And, you know, people may not agree with him. People may think, oh, there is no such thing as reincarnation. Well, we'll find out once we cross over, won't we? Maybe some people can, maybe some people can't. I mean, who knows? But I actually do believe in it because of what I've seen. I believe I have seen people that have crossed over. I have heard of them. I mean, so I have an open mind to this. I have an open mind to all of it. And so I'm just kind of saying that, Dr. Adrian, because anybody listening, they've heard you talk about that a few times. And if they haven't watched our show or if they haven't watched The Unseen Realm, they'll be like, well, what is he talking about? So I just wanted to kind of share that a little bit more information. You have to deal with like in the real world, you are a medical, highly needed psychiatrist that deals with, real people. It's not like you're not a real psychiatrist, so you have to kind of be in all kinds of groups of people, right?
You know what? You remind me about the grandpa and the grandson seated on the couch, and the grandson is about 5 year old and looks at grandpa and says, "Grandpa, at your age, I didn't believe in reincarnation either."
Well, and isn't that the truth? I've seen so many shows, and I've actually talked to children that have, because of my research, I've talked to children that have actually they believe that they are seeing through the eyes of another person. They have lived the life of, say, their uncle. I mean,
But you see, that it makes a difference between failure and success, believing in reincarnation in many cases. Like, for instance, if you have a very bad health condition and all this, and you believe in reincarnation, you know, you know, the subconscious, the animal part believes in death because we die. But the conscious mind is made in God's image and likeness. So we'll never do that. So basically, not believing in reincarnation is like letting the subconscious decide for you. And that may be very negative sometimes. You don't let a 3 year old run your life. So a 3 year old child, the subconscious. So that's the approximate age of the subconscious, according to psychologists in our society. All right, 3.5 maybe, to be more generous.
that's interesting. But I do know that there are spirits out there that can manipulate and say that they are a person from the past, that they can trick us. So you can have somebody that's believing they're seeing a past life, but it could be the trickery of an unwanted energy, an entity. That I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, I personally just am open to understanding, and I will know more when I cross over. I know that God is with us, and but I've just seen so many different things that's why I love to study and have everyone on the podcast to so we can hear everybody's ideas, and I know
I
that.
believe
Sorry,
in.
Desiree, did you want to say something?
Oh no. I mean, yeah, I know. I was curious. I like this conversation. I believe in the resurrection. Now, see, I used to believe in reincarnation, and I was trying to get my whole karma, slate clean and everything, and that. But I believe now in the resurrection. How is that in alignment with reincarnation? I know this may be a different
No.
subject, but
It's a resurrection, basically, because what we're learning when we reincarnate to be positive, to be one with God, and that's resurrection. I mean, having all
mm-hmm,
manifesting all the lofty qualities of God, His
mm-hmm,
commandments, everything. So this is what it means: resurrection, to be perfect, to be pure, to be godly, really to express yourself as God meant you to be. And that is to be in its image and likeness. In Hebrew, they say when they two people meet in the street, they say, "Hi, hi, be well." In Hebrew, they say, "Hi, hi, be created," because if you are created, it means you are perfect. You are made in God's image and likeness. That's
wow,
best you can wish a person to be at
mm-hmm.
that level, resurrected.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Okay. Thank you for that.
I mean, that's what I mean. I think we are all on this journey, and we are all understanding and learning, and we have to learn by what we read and acknowledge and see and listen to, and then we make our own choices. We become what we think. I don't know if that makes any sense, but you
Mm-hmm.
understand.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, I do.
It's like, and I believe like every culture, if you think about this, when you look at what they're doing in another place, like they may not have any idea, and they didn't know about Jesus. Native Americans didn't know about Jesus. So, but we all have our similarities, right? I mean, like we have these similarities throughout our life. And I just think that right now in this world, we are all coming together, we're connecting. And so we're able to really learn and see what it is that is connecting us. So it's just actually a magical time to be alive right now, even though it's kind of scary, but it is magical to all be here at this moment at the same time.
Jesus was a great man and one of the greatest, and he is a magic code in the Bible, which means divine love, love without condition and without limitation, and through that will be saved. In other words, resurrected, pure, as we were meant to be, created. So he symbolizes anything that is love, and love is the main quality of God. And this is what God made us to be with, and through that we will be saved, all of us, instead of having a nuclear war. Through hatred we won't be saved. And the hatred comes from the subconscious that doesn't know, is ignorant. That's why we're praying to reprogram the subconscious to become higher in its age mentality, so older soul. That's why we're coming many times here to mature in our soul, because people, as I said, in this society are about a 3.5-year-old age mentality level. So I mean, yeah, we want to come to seven. Seven is the top. Jesus was there, Moses was there, Muhammad was there, Buddha was there, Krishna was there. So the five, the five big things. But anyway, I enjoy so much being with you, and I thank God for giving me another moment to live in this world, this physical world, in order to share my thoughts. Thank you. Thank you
Thank,
for allowing me.
thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Dr. Adrian, for being here. Thank you, Desiree, for being here. And I know that you're on the road too.
Oh,
So I
you're welcome.
God bless you all. God bless everyone. And be sure to check out our other shows that we have here on this channel, on my Facebook and on YouTube. And be sure to tune into the Unseen Realm this Saturday. We would love to have you there on our chat line too at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So thank you, everybody. God bless everyone.
See you there.
See you.
Bye bye.